and I want my boyfriend to watch this, and I want my parents to watch this, I want my sister to watch this, I want everybody to watch this. Go watch this! Again, this is not scripted, we're going on a little bit of a ramble today. Hello YouTube, my name is Marie, and today we're going to do a full review of My Mister. So it's been a long time since I've done an unscripted video, so let's just roll with it. I literally just finished the last episode of My Mister, and let's talk. I almost don't know where to begin because I have so many feelings about this show, but I guess we'll start at the logical place, which is the beginning. So if you don't know what My Mister is about, it's about three brothers. One in particular is definitely the star of the show, and he is a manager at a building company and having some problems with his marriage. It's not going so well. And then his brothers, one is a very struggling director, while the other one is also having problems with his marriage, and he's got some debt issues. So all three brothers are kind of in like this midlife crisis, I would say. And then IU's character, she is an extremely, how do I say it, damaged person. And it's really the story about how they all help each other heal. Now, going into this show, I really had no idea what it was about, and the summary I gave you was pretty much all that I knew, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more because I think if you know a little bit more, it'll draw the correct audience who will actually enjoy this show. So, spoiler warning for the first episode. This show deals a lot with white-collar crime and corporate espionage and all that good stuff that I was not expecting going in, and it's done in a way that is not boring because it's directly related to your characters. It's not separated into like, oh, your character story and then like the political maneuvering. They're very much intertwined, so I really liked that. That this show seemed so much like textbook criminology. And as I was watching it and watching these characters be really put in the situations and like seeing their reasons why they're breaking the law. Being a criminology student, I loved it. It was so textbook. It was awesome. There were certain criminology theories and like perspectives that I kept thinking about, and I could point to certain actions and be like, oh, that relates to this theory, or that relates to this theory, and it was great. So IU's character, she's got a very particular skill set. Gosh, I feel like I'm the dad from Taken. This particular skill set makes her a very interesting character because when I first saw her, I thought, oh man, here we go, another pity party. Like, I'm not down for this. But the more you learn about her, the more interesting she becomes because you're so fascinated by her backstory. I became more interested in this show when the two leads have their first conversation. And she kills this ladybug. And our male lead asks her, what's the biggest thing you killed? And she says, Saram.
Saram? Saram.
I think I'm saying that right. And that means a person. So I went from being like really uninterested in the show and feeling like it wasn't something I was going to enjoy to an instant switch of wanting to know more about her specifically. She's a very guarded character, but incredibly interesting. At first I thought she was pitying herself, and while she is, she's actually a character that just feels like she's got nothing to live for. Like, she gives no fucks. So she doesn't have that wall of inhibition. She has no fear, so she just does things and I loved it. She is such a little criminal. I really loved her character and the growth that she goes through. And I also loved the male lead because in my mind he really embodies what I think of as like a stereotypical monk. Like, he's got a respect for life, he's generous, he's caring, he's very noble. When you see him being put in desperate situations and doing things that he would not normally do and having internal conflicts about it was really engrossing to watch. So all the characters on screen, I don't even want to call them characters because they were so well realized that they felt like real people. Even the antagonists, even the characters that you were not necessarily supposed to like, I wanted him to be redeemed, and that people are messy, and this show illustrates that so well. And while at first this show kind of presents itself as a pity party, and there's a real theme of like despair and unhappiness with your life, feeling like you've lost, it's actually a show about hope. It's a show about finding hope in other people and your relationships with people and how people can heal you and prop you up. There is some controversy around this show because IU and the male lead actor, I don't know his name, I know he was in Coffee Prince and he shines here, so I should know his name because he's incredible, but I know that there was controversy surrounding them because they have such an age gap, and usually with leads in K-dramas there is a romantic relationship involved between them. But in this show that's not the case. There is no romance between them at all. So if you're worried about that and feeling kind of turned off by that, I wouldn't worry about it. I would go in knowing that they are going to be important to each other and a friendship will develop, but there's nothing romantic. There's no weirdness there. In defense of this show, I believe IU said it's not a love story, it's a human story. 100% agree. This is a story about people who are struggling and then people overcoming their struggles. I have this really warm feeling in my chest after watching it, and I guess my only complaint is that it's over. Although the story that it told feels complete, I just want more from these characters. I don't want to leave them yet. Okay, now that I've rambled and gushed, I guess let's talk of the mechanicals of the show, like the practical side. I think the only thing that stands out there is probably the music, and at the beginning of the series, they have a really soft music choice. Like, the soundtrack is very minimalistic, and they have a great use of silence, and then also sound effects, like people's footsteps, or the sound of their breathing, or even their chewing, which usually really turns me off, but in this show it's used very well, and it makes the show feel really intimate to the characters. So I guess the sound design in general is very good. Let's talk about IU's acting, shall we? Usually the roles I've seen IU in are very bright and very happy roles. Here, I feel like she proves herself as an actress because her character doesn't show a lot of emotions on her face. She spends a lot of time looking down and being closed off to people, and yet she feels so vulnerable. I think she did an amazing job, and I'm so glad that I haven't done my top 5 favorite actresses yet, because I wasn't originally going to put her on that list, but now I definitely am. I guess the only complaint that I have is that there is a side character, and he's kind of like a computer nerd, and his relationship with the female lead, with IU's character, is kind of unclear. Like, I would like to know how they got involved and how they knew each other, but it's such a small thing, and he doesn't play a very large role, but I'm still curious. I can't recommend this show enough. I'd give it 5 stars. I don't think I've given out a 5-star yet. Maybe Maybe the best hit I gave a 5-star to, but they're two very different 5 stars. Be prepared to cry, be prepared to laugh, not a lot of laughing, but I did chuckle. Be prepared to get incredibly emotionally involved. Alright, that's everything for me. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I know that I did because looking at the time, I've been sitting here for almost 18 minutes talking my butt off. But I'll definitely edit this down and hope to present you with something that's somewhat coherent. Okay, that's it for me. Have a good day. Have a good night. Bye. Point in your life, you can make the decision to be happy and live a happy life.